Hello students, so we're going to continue on with our motion vocabulary and move right along into motion graphing. We're still going to stick with our storyline of Pac-Man and the ghosts. Instead of Inky though, we will be using the ghost Pinky. Now, the first thing we need to do is establish some baselines so that we can compare and contrast and have discussions about the objects. So what we need to do as you look at the different cartoon panels here, I'm sorry, actually before I continue, make sure you have watched the animation. Okay, make sure to watch the animation because what you are then seeing down here is the different cartoon panels of what happens to each character for each second. We've got 0 seconds, 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds. So it shows their motions at each interval. Okay, so marking this graph so that we can call out each position based on the pellets or dots as we call them. Going along across the graph, there would be a total of 25 of these pellets. So let's consider, then we need to, just for one of these, draw them in. Consider if we start over here on the left, and this is actually going to be number 25, 24, 23, and so on down the line. The next dot we'll draw in would be the middle one, that's number 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and then 1 is that first dot in the corner. The point of this is, again, just to establish positions. So what that means, if we take a look at Pinky the Ghost in this fourth second panel, he is on the 8th dot. So we're going to call that 8. Now, going back up to the 0 seconds, I can go ahead and tell you this cherry, without counting, the cherry is on the 13. So moving over to the left, we've got 12, 11, 10, 9. Starting position. Let's take a look at how to do the motion map. Now, I am working on an assumption that you have viewed the how-to video. If not, you need to pause this video and go do that. It's pretty short. But to reiterate, what that woman is explaining in the video is that we're going to use one dot and one arrow for any 1 second that the object is moving. The object in this case is Pac-Man. We are not talking about Pinky as we complete this particular motion map. Now, there may be motion maps later you do on your own where you're focused on Pinky, but we are just talking about Pac-Man right now. Now, I have already numbered my motion map, which this should look familiar, like a number line. You'll notice that in black, I've put that 0 at the middle. That is going to be our object's start, and so that's why I'm calling it 0. What I've gone ahead and done, though, in red is I put the numbers that correspond to the actual location on the diagram. And so since Pac-Man started on the 9, 0 could also be called R9. Now, if you have not already, I recommend pausing the video and adding those numbers onto your own motion map. Pac-Man starts out on the 9, and in that 1 second, travels 2 dots, 2 dots to the right. And so at 1 second, he is here on what we can call 2 dots over, or the 11th dot. Then after that, another 1 second later, he is on spot 13, or in other words, the 4th one over. But here is where he changes directions. And so at this point, think for a second, how are you going to draw your arrow? That would be going to the left, of course. So that is the 0 second, 1 second, 2 seconds. At 3 seconds, he is back to the 11 and still heading to the left. Now, at 4 seconds, he is no longer on the map. He has gotten eaten, if you will, somewhere along the way. And so we're going to put that right about here, that dot, as far as that being the end or his finish. Now you've got to answer a couple questions. Pac-Man's total distance traveled. We're just going to count up where all he went. You can use your numbers that you've marked down there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, back the other way, 5, 6, 7, and a little bit more. I think that's about a 0.4. So I'm going to say he traveled 7.4 dots in total. His displacement, where he is compared to where he started. His displacement is only right here to right here. Now, if this was 0.4, that makes this a 0.6. So Pac-Man's displacement, we'll call it 0.6 dots. Now you need a little bit more to your answer. If Pac-Man is 0.6 dots away from where he started, he could be anywhere within a radius of that start. We need to indicate a direction then. He is 0.6 dots to the right of where he started. For part B, you need to fill in the boxes here to indicate that you understand the emotion vocabulary. I went ahead and did position and speed. I'm going to continue to go kind of quickly through this because we have already done this in class together. But now before we add velocity here, I want you to think, what is the difference between speed and velocity? There is a one-word answer that begins with the word, sorry about that, direction. So for velocity, it will be the same as the speed, but add direction. We can use positives and negatives to define the direction. And there you see the velocities. Again, pay attention to the positives and negatives. For the acceleration, acceleration is defined as what? Any change in velocity. Change in velocity. At 0 seconds, there's no change in velocity. At 1 second, we are still going positive 2 dots per second, so no change in velocity. Here is where we have that change in velocity, and what happened was a change in direction. And let's just stick with change in direction as how we determine what our acceleration was. That's as much detail as I expect. From here at 3 seconds, still negative 2 dots per second, so no acceleration. And for 4th second, again, there's no acceleration. Now pause your video here for a moment and go figure out all of the position, speed, velocity, and acceleration information for Pinky. Then hit play to see the answers.